she has like even the cunning to actually do a lot of what she needs to do. She was like hiding in the ship for what was it, like 2 weeks?
Yeah, because she was tiny, right?
Before she got undone by a slice of ham.
Well, because Sevro was anal about his sun butter, and he's like, there's someone on board. And none of the guys thought about it, but man, it's like me and my potato skins. Like, let's be honest.
The sequence, the scene of that where like she's like, but the ham.
Welcome back, everyone, to the inreallore podcast. Today, we're going through part 3 of Lightbringer by Pierce Brown. Today, Nick and I will be kind of discussing a little bit about what happened and our thoughts and underlying themes.
Yeah. If you have any of your favorite parts, comment them down below and we'll discuss them with you.
Part 1, part 2 will be linked down below.
Absolutely. All right, Sonam. Let's get into this first. What did you think about this part?
It was long. Took me, I realized after we finished it, I'm like, holy crap, that was half the book. Lot happened. So I'm going to get you to recap some stuff.
Yeah.
Just so that we can kind of feedback off of it, because I think it went from starting to find Quicksilver to maybe the death of a monarch, and it was just all over the place, and it was cool. I really did like part 3. A lot more plot development. I won't go into it in detail yet.
Yeah. So to start off with this part.
What about you? How did you feel?
Oh, I loved it. It was really good.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was great.
So let's get into this. So to start with this, Darrow, Sevro, and Cassius and Aurae, it's Aurae, right? Are making their way to actually find Quicksilver. And it kind of doesn't skip over anything. They just are at the asteroid.
Yeah.
And Quicksilver doesn't have what they're looking for.
Yeah. So just so I know, are you going to do a full overview of part 3? I'm just giving
bits so that way we can start going over it.
Okay. So we're going to feedback on each section. Yeah. So I thought that Quicksilver was going to be the key to winning the war. And he's like, so here's a little bubble. Here's an inverted world. And I'm fucking off. Bye. Like, okay, thanks. Bye. And I'm like, wow. I don't even know if we're going to see him again. But it was definitely a plot twist. Like I thought that there was going to be something he could do. I thought Lyria had the parasite. I was so angry. I don't know. I wasn't happy.
I still think that Lyria might potentially have the parasite in her, but I think that part was written out because Pierce Brown didn't enjoy what her character was becoming with the parasite.
You think?
I think so.
I don't know. It's hard to say, eh?
Because she wasn't... It's hard for her to have character development if she's just given godlike powers. Instead, you have her being a lot more of a tricksy little bint, essentially.
Yeah.
With everything.
You still think Sevro is a Trojan horse?
Oh, I think something's going to happen with him.
Really, eh?
I think something is going on there. I don't know.
I mean, he's gotten back to him. It could be
the
rewrite as well. Like Pierce Brown, remember, rewrote the entire book 6, which is why it took so long to come out, right? So it could be that, like, he just said, you know what, the hell with it. Like, we haven't heard about the Abomination, and I don't know if he wrote that out.
No, he didn't. I don't think he wrote the Abomination out because I think he might be the informant for Mustang.
Yeah.
Because he is a 10-year-old kid, and he didn't necessarily have the knowledge in order to use the Psychospike, which is maybe why he sold Sevro.
Yeah, but he's a smart 10-year-old kid.
He's
smart.
What I
mean?
And he's been raised by very, very evil people, but he is already questioning those evil people.
Yeah.
Lilith and the Bone Riders.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's going on with that, at least, but
I know.
They get to Quicksilver, and instead of having ships and everything, it's like, here's a little mine lass with no powers.
Well, he's like,
I am leaving the solar system.
And I have a inverted world in there with little meeples and a sun that is from the inside out. Like, it was weird.
It's a mini Dyson sphere.
Yeah.
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 And they're not mini
They're meeples in my brain.
They're Homo sapiens. They're normal, bog standard humans.
So does he have these guys in captivity?
No, he's just raising them slowly.
In a world. How big is this? Okay, so let's go back to this Dyson sphere is like pissing me off because in my mind, it is only 10 centimeters in diameter, and I thought they shrunk to go in it.
What?
Yeah, that's how big it was in my mind. That is what I read. Like, that is how I read it. So, like, how big is this thing? Is it the entire asteroid?
Yes, it's the entire asteroid. No, it wasn't miniature. It is a miniature planet.
I am a little bit upset now.
Sonam.
I thought he shrunk them down to go into it.
He didn't shrink them down.
Well, that sucks.
It's just...
He's got the technology to probably miniaturize things.
No, it's just a generational ship. It's just like a drum style ship that he made and has like a power center in the center that's giving it light, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't see that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I will have some stuff to talk about Quicksilver when we go over themes again later on.
Yeah.
Because there is something particular.
I found the eyeball story quite interesting.
Oh,
the fact
yeah.
that, like, and you hear about his family, right? He was in love with another Silver, and his family was murdered. And he made it his personal vendetta to destroy the gold that destroyed him. And then he took his eye and he said, I just shot him out to space. I let him live.
Yeah.
But in a comatose state, and I can feel this eye twitch every so often. I'm like, that's kind of screwed up, but
he's still conscious. He's not in a comatose state.
Yeah.
Still conscious.
Yeah.
Kept alive, floating in space.
And then Darrow asked him to show mercy to him.
Yeah. Which Quicksilver, I think, has a lot to do with one thing that I came up that comes up with this that I find very interesting, and then also a little bit on the forgiveness aspect that is coming up a lot in this book in particular.
I mean, we could always, like hold off on your themes until the end, and then we can kind of put them together. But
100%.
I thought it was a mini world.
It's not a mini world.
And now I'm really pissed off.
It's not a mini world. It is a mini world in the fact that it's a world.
No, I thought it was a mini world, like snow globe world.
No, it's not a snow globe world.
I'm done having this conversation.
All right. They leave Quicksilver.
Yeah. And Lyria totally sneaks on the ship.
Lyria sneaks on the ship after convincing Sevro to actually come back into the ship.
She did not convince him. She basically said, Sevro, I'm so sorry for Ulysses. And then he's like,
who's the Ulysses?
Sorry for Ulysses? And he's like, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised he didn't slap her or try to kill her. Or he just said, all right, bye.
Yep. Lyria gets on the ship. She has a time with Sevro, is in love with Cassius.
I found that really interesting, actually. Like, Cassius really...
beautiful.
Well, okay. But that narration makes sense, right? Because Cassius is supposed to be, even for a gold, gorgeous.
Yeah.
But even Cassius takes to her. Like, entire part 3, he was so protective of her. Like, even, like, at the end, near Fa and, Europa and all that stuff, like... There was like he wanted to protect her, and I'm wondering whether or not, like, he's in love with Aurae, but everyone's in love with Aurae. Even Diomedes is in love with Aurae. We find out, right?
Yeah.
That woman is like, I wonder how hot she is. Seriously, I may be in love with Aurae
She's
too
a pink.
now.
She
I
is
know.
probably one
I
of
may
them...
be super in love with Aurae too. I want to find a fandom picture of this now.
Yeah.
But I really like the Lyria and Cassius story, because Lyria is someone who hated gold with all her passion in terms of like what it was, what the society became.
Yeah.
Cassius was this man who fell from grace, and they were both on opposite, but he's honorable, right? And they both on opposite ends of the pole, and they're like drinking buddies.
They're drinking buddies.
And they love each other. He keeps kissing her on the cheek.
Yeah.
It is so wholesome.
It is very, very wholesome. And the thing
I actually like them.
It's a really good story between those two.
Yeah.
Because Cassius is also one that he's honorable, but he's also not honorable in the way golds are. In the way like Lysander is honorable. He's honorable in the fact that he understands what he was a part of as a gold. The oppressive state, the like oppression of people.
It was just cute. Like it is cute. I really like their arc right now. And I don't know if they're more than friends.
I don't know either.
I can't tell.
They're drinking buddies. It's really funny.
But like it almost seems in some instances, and you guys can let us know too in the comments. Please feel free to, because we love to chat about this. But I don't know. I feel like a spark. Whereas Aurae's the untouchable goddess that everyone loves, but it's the Pink's game.
Yeah.
Right? Like Lyria is just Lyria. She's like, slag that. Cassius is just like, man, she's a great drinking buddy, but.
And she gets a concussion, and he's still drinking with her.
I know, and he gave her the concussion, dumbass. My God.
He was like, oh, it's like, have you been drinking? Oh, me and Lyria had a couple drinks. Darrow's just like, she has a head wound.
Well, okay, so the other thing I wanted to talk about with this one, too, is I'm starting to really like Lyria a bit more. I didn't think I would like her without the parasite. But in part 3, she showed us that she is coming into her own. She's no longer scared. Or for a woman who's constantly living in fear, she's got nothing to lose. That's really what I got from part 3.
Yeah.
And she's like, the hell with it. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And because she's standing up for herself, like, it's just, it amazes me how much power a red who did not become Darrow has. Because Darrow had the ability to become a gold.
Yeah.
Right? But at the end of the day, lights are ceasing in the background. Okay, at the end of the day, our power bar is dying here. Let's just not talk about it.
I'm just...
we can't get the power bar to stay at
anywhere.
the end of the table underneath. We have no... Okay, anyway. So at the end of the day...
Yeah.
She did not get any of the benefits that Darrow had, yet she has all the courage that he has. It's so cool.
It is interesting
That's
because
my thought.
It's her willpower that she's realized that she has the ability to act.
Truffle pig, truffle pig, truffle pig. Woo! Truffle pig.
But she has like even the cunning to actually do a lot of what she needs to do. She was like hiding in the ship for what was it, like 2 weeks?
Yeah, because she was tiny, right?
Before she got undone by a slice of ham.
Well, because Sevro was anal about his sun butter, and he's like, "There's someone on board," and none of the guys thought about it. But man, it's like me and my potato skins. Like, let's be honest.
The sequence the scene of that where like she's like. Like especially Tim Gerald Reynolds where we listen to the audiobook, so he's just like, but the ham. And then she's trapped, and her description of it where she's like hanging upside down, and I hear a shuffling and a creature come in the doorway. It's like several like coming in like a little gremlin.
She pissed on him.
What the fuck?
She pissed on him, remember?
She pissed on him too. She's the only person who could get away with pissing on Sevro. Who pissed on him
and lived to tell the tale.
And lived.
I know, right? No, that was quite funny. But, like, I am shocked with how much power a powerless red has. And it's quite cool. Like, you know, I don't think I'm as upset that she... I hope that the parasite does come back, though, once she truly comes into her own. Because I think her arc needed to... Her power needed to come to her herself before she could accept other power. And I mean, we'll get to it later on, but, you know, one of Vulgar mentions that she gave away such great power, right? But I think this is the reason why she did it.
I think so. And I think if she does get it back, it's on better terms and it'll be in a good place for her to get it through, like you said, her own means.
Yeah, yeah.
But the one thing I do want to say is I really enjoyed the Archie scenes.
The Archie Oh, you mean the Archimedes?
Yeah, when they're on the Archimedes and it's the 5 of them. Aurae, Darrow, Sevro, Cassius, and Lyria. It's a shit show. It's like a classic venturing part. It's classic space opera where it's like the small band of people that are just on a ship going from place to place and just
they could not be more
undoing
different.
The worlds.
Yeah, and they cannot be more different.
And they can't be more different. It's the perfect 5-man band trope. It's beautiful and it was so good. Because normally it's like just, you know, just some random people that like show up and do space opera-y stuff in those kind of ships. Yeah. No, this is like the war god, the beauty god,
the goblin.
A gremlin.
Did you say gremlin?
A gremlin.
Goblin.
The goblin. And then a red and a pink. But
a sexy pink. And a powerless red.
But it's such a good dynamic, and I wish it had lasted longer, but it was so good.
One of the things that one of the scenes I really enjoyed, in addition to Cassius and Lyria, is the Sevro, Barker, and Cassius fight. They finally let them duke it out. Yeah. Because it's really interesting. Darrow said, "My 2 best friends are sitting on this ship, and I need to let them go at it." Right. This is once they found Diomedes, but it just got Goblin is sitting there trying to torture Diomedes, and he's been conditioned against torture, so it's just not possible. And then they just go at it and they have at it, and the only thing that stops it is Lyria getting punched in the face,
getting knocked out.
But Darrow just sits there with Lyria, and he's like, chill. Like, he's like, let them duke it out. They finally need to duke it out. They finally need to say, you know, all the things that they wanted to be saying to each other, right? Because but like it will get to back one of your themes where like Goblin eventually forgives Cassius for the killing of his father. Yeah. And it's quite interesting. But I think that forgiveness the seed was planted in like part 3 where remember part
2,
in the book, right? Where he jumped off book 3. He hung himself, right? Yeah. For Cassius's life, right? So he hates him, but I don't think he wants him dead.
And that scene and that like that conversation between Darrow and Sevro at that point is actually a very poignant one. It was so well written because it was just the idea of like forgiveness, but it was also like accepting parts of you, because Sevro keeps only wanting to be the gremlin, the goblin. Is he the goblin? Is he Sevro? Is he Ares? What identity is he leaning on more than the others?
Oh, he was definitely leaning on Goblin.
He was definitely leaning on the goblin for a little bit too long.
Yeah.
Which I want to talk about later on too, because that's another part that I've started to notice.
Yeah.
But Lysander has his own piece because we get to Diomedes on the Arche, which creates the tension amongst the five of that group.
Yeah.
But it's all because Lysander is a part of the ambush that takes Diomedes and the Rimgolds out.
Dude. I was like, what the... That was like, okay, I'll be honest, I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
But like, first off, carving limbs onto you, yuck. Second off, Atlas. What the hell? Like, it was just interesting, right? Because, like, I'm sorry, but there's a little bromance developing between Lysander and Diomedes. Like, everyone loves Diomedes. Like, it seems like Darrow loves him. Yeah. Cassius loves him. Lysander, he's just an honorable guy. Like, even though he is portrayed as the bad guy, I still like him.
Diomedes is definitely his father, Romulus.
Yeah.
Was it Romulus?
Romulus.
Aurae.
Yeah.
He's honorable, and he will live to his own standard. Like, Darrow, when he met Romulus, was like, even though he is my enemy, even though I don't agree with his philosophies, I still respect him as an honorable man because he respects me despite it.
That scene was insane, though. And, like, man, the Praetorians turning on Lysander.
Yeah.
That was tough to see. Like, Lysander's like, what the hell? Like, I didn't realize Roan, poisoned Lysander.
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't see that coming. I thought it was Atlantia and whatnot. But, like,
being
Atlas, like, I mean, they planted the seeds because he was out in the Kuiper Belt. He was banished for, a few things. He had to deal with, like, the Ascomani.
Yeah.
It was a huge turn of events, though. I did not see that one coming. That was like, I don't know. Did you see that coming?
I didn't see the ambush coming, but I knew that Atlas had always had something to do with the Ascomani and Fa.
Well, I mean, they kept planting the seed that he was out there, he came back, and he wasn't supposed to, and
there's all these hints, too, and it's also the fact that Fa is supposed to be Ragnar's father, which he didn't, which makes sense because he was a Grimace household, like Obsidian.
Yeah.
Grimace attaches itself to Ra Atlas, and gets sent out to the Kuiper Belt, so it makes sense. It all fits logically, and I was figuring that out the last book, but yeah, I wasn't expecting the ambush of the Rimgolds.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting Atlas to go so hardline, but it makes sense because the Praetorians, Atlas, and the society always looks down on the Rimgolds trying to break away.
Okay, so now let me get you this. What are Atlas's motives? Like, what is his defining motive? Because it sounds like when we met Fa, we're going to get to the Fa part anyway.
Yeah.
He was a Ascomani Obsidian war god. Okay, I say was because I finished part 3. But and it's really interesting that he's not. He is a puppet of Atlas, and he's a puppet of Atlas wanting to bring back the society to some sort. Yeah. So what is Atlas's? Because he hates his son. Ajax didn't even get the love that Fa got, right? And Ajax died knowing that his dad never loved him. He had daddy issues. Yeah. But what are Atlas's true motives? Like, what is he trying to get at?
Atlas is one of those hardline people that he's a true believer of
what?
Of the society, of the strict hierarchy that must exist, and he sees the reality of what must be done in order to actually like create that order, to impose order upon a nature defined by the goals, not allowing nature to exist as it is. And he's hardline into that. And that's where like Lysander is much more of the idealistic moral side of it, where he sees it's noble what is being done. We must do it because it makes everything good. Whereas Atlas sees like, no, it's not noble, but it must be done.
Do you remember the access to the extermination virus they have where you could pick a color and it's like mass genocide.
Oh yeah, that's
I
gonna
can't
be.
wait for that to come out. That's gonna be
Oh, that's gonna be a harsh one.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Someone gets access to that, it is just disgusting.
Well, it is in the rim somewhere.
Yeah, so how has it not been used yet?
Because it hasn't been needed to be used yet.
Who has access to it?
I'm gonna guess.
Because he needed the neurological link of the Raw. Remember?
Yeah.
So do the Raw have access to this dangerous weapon that they've never employed?
Yes.
But what stopped them from using it?
I would think it's the same reason why we don't use nuclear weapons anymore. There is an implicit understanding.
Don't say things that can happen.
Yeah, but like we had the entire Cold War where we were building up nuclear weapons because we understood as soon as they are used, again, like it was end of World War II, whatever, but like if they're used again, it will obliterate everything.
Oh, we're done.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's a little...
So how did he
weird.
convince... I mean, okay, so on the ship, Lysander saves Diomedes because he has no idea what's going on. And this leech, oh man, God bless leeches. I love leeches. We actually use them in medicine, like for flaps and stuff. Saves his life, of course, right? So that he could save Diomedes' life. But why did Lysander agree to Atlas's tirade? Because essentially, I think what they were trying to do was he's like, Lysander, join me, become my sovereign. Fa's the bad guy. You pretend to take him over and beat him, and then you win the heart of everybody again, right? Is that the goal? Like, was that my summary? Yeah,
it's because Lysander believes he is the good person. He has a belief that he's basically the second coming. He thinks he is... what's his ancestor's name?
Oh, Selenius.
He believes he is Selenius. Yeah. He named his ship Lightbringer. He thinks he is the second coming, but he always has he has this like cognitive dissonance where he thinks he is the second coming, but he doesn't believe he has to do anything dishonorable, but he's always doing things dishonorably. Mm-hmm. So that moment, the moment where he's deciding whether or not to accept Atlas's thing is he also knows that the only way to actually bring back the society in exactly the way that it was before, or even better, is to go along with Atlas's plan.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, the plan is already in action. Mm-hmm. Things are set in motion. If he doesn't accept it...
Oh, they were going to carve somebody's face on him. Or not his face.
Atalantia. Atalantia was going to take one of our other paramours, slap his face on it, and have a puppet for herself.
But even Atlas doesn't want Atlantean power because she can't handle it. He didn't even want to tell her about the virus. Because Lysander is not going to use the virus whereas Atlantia is going to commit mass genocide just because she can.
Atalantia was going to burn Mercury.
Yeah.
Like her plan at the end of Dark Age was to basically virus bomb the planet. Mm-hmm. Leave nothing left, keep the resources, who cares about the people, which is what provokes Lysander into doing what he does at the end of Dark Age.
So then we have Diomedes being found, right? That's the next part.
Yeah, Diomedes is found, the Arche and everything.
And then what will happen after that?
So
then we see Fa or
Sungrave.
Sungrave.
So they end up going to Sungrave, and where Diomedes starts kind of breaking down essentially because he's seeing his family being destroyed. Not even just all the people of his family. He cares
for his population.
He does, because he's the same way as Romulus.
Yeah, even the little pink and the red and whomever the Obsidians were trying to take.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to talk about Obsidian hierarchy. That was interesting, actually.
Yeah.
Remind me about that.
Yeah.
But I found it I actually didn't think he was going to run away from Cassius's parole and Darrow's parole.
Yeah.
But Darrow is really good at planting seeds.
He's very good.
He's he made... I think a friend out of Diomedes in the end of part 3, to be honest.
Because that's what
I think
he does.
I don't think they still see completely eye to eye, but he's acting honorably as, I think they respect each other. And it's interesting that Diomedes can become a foe or a friend of both Lysander and Darrow.
Yeah.
That tells you then there's common ground. But Diomedes actually showed up again to help with the gunships, right? With Lyria. Trufflepig to the rescue.
Trufflepig.
But that The Sungrave, for me at least, the Sungrave part was a bonding a bonding moment between Darrow and Diomedes. That's what it was for me.
I think that is showing how good the series is that the best parts of this book are not action.
Yeah, there's a lot of touchy-feely.
There's
like it. I'm a woman.
There's
I love
conversations that it's just Darrow and Diomedes talking for like probably 10 pages.
Yeah.
But it's so good. And it's everything, like, we'll touch on it afterwards, but you can tell that the characters are actually working out things that are happening in the plot. Mm-hmm. Things that we know already, but Darrow talked about that. They're logically thinking out how things are being set up and how things are running.
Darrow planted the seed that I think Fa is a puppet.
Yeah.
And Diomedes was thinking, what was his name? Hercules? Not Hercules.
Helios.
He's like, he knew something was wrong on the ship, right?
Yeah, an
so
imposter.
He could piece it together, and then they get there together. We'll get to that point as well. But I found the relationship development quite cool.
Yeah.
And then I think I want to get to the Fa part, okay? The Fa and Ajax part.
Okay.
Can we just get rid of the voice box and go, oh my God. And I'm like, did not picture Fa sounding like that.
Oh, right.
Come on. Fa takes off the voice box and he's sounds like a little gold. He sounds like a pompous prick.
But that's another interesting part.
It's oh my God, Ajax or no, Atlas. I just want to sit on my moon with my daughter. And he just sounds like a pretentious gold.
But what I find interesting is even before you get there, you start seeing the other Ascomanis that work with Fa directly. They are intelligent. Mm-hmm. They're not brutes. They're discussing Hobbes. They're discussing philosophy.
Oh yeah.
And Cicero, and they're discussing quoting verbatim plays.
Yep.
And making these quotes ironically, so they understand everything that's around them.
Yeah.
And
Lysander's what the hell?
To Lysander, he thinks that to Darrow, this would be proof that Obsidians can be more than brutes. Mm-hmm. They can be more than what has been defined by them from gold.
Yeah.
But Lysander just sees them as tools. Yeah. They're still the brutes, even though they're intelligent.
Interesting.
And Atlas teaches them the same, because Atlas worked with them extensively.
Yeah.
And that is why Fa is so, it feels so good to be just relaxing.
No. He comes in his war armor, then he rips off everything in his silk kimono. No, remember the silk kimono with the little glass of wine?
Yeah, he's in, when they sit down, he's in a kimono.
What the hell?
Okay, I've seen this comparison, but do you remember Iron Man 3?
Remind me about the
Mandarin.
Yeah.
The fake Mandarin.
Yeah.
Where he's the terrorist leader, and then they show up and it's what's his name? Jacob? No, it's not Jacob.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. But he's drunk and watching footy.
I know. But I mean, Fa still has a bone.
Fa is still a beast.
But it was so funny to see that. And I mean, all he wanted to, and he was so happy to have the plan moved up 3 weeks, or up to 3 weeks. He thought he was going to be taking over the rim for 3 years. And they're like, nah. We have someone who's going to pretend to defeat you. Lysander here. He's like, yes. He's like, I get my retirement. I'm just going to go and pretend dead. And I'm just going to go live with Volga. And then he's in love with Volga. He keeps calling her his daughter, but it's the granddaughter, of course.
Yeah.
But he really wants something of his own. But what I found really interesting with Volga is half of their Obsidian counterpart does not respect her because she was born out of a test tube. She's not natural, right? And the only reason that she's not dead is because she is Fa's singling, sapling. What is it?
What word are you? Grandchild?
No, not the but seedling.
Seedling.
Yeah.
Progeny,
seedling. Sapling, whatever.
What are all these words you're trying to use?
End of the workday. What can I say?
But Fa's transformation into what he truly is very fascinating.
He was terrifying in book 5, and now he's cute. In book
he's
6.
still terrifying.
No, he's cute, terrifying now.
He is cuter, but it's also he is best friends with Atlas.
I know. They talk like good old buddies.
Yeah.
Atlas loves him more than he loved his son.
But I think he did, absolutely. But this is also something that keeps coming up with golds, is that when golds are treating with anyone below them, it's like they're a pet. They're not actually friends. It's like Diomedes and Aurae. Diomedes may have loved Aurae, but he basically loved her as if she was a pet. She had no choice. And I think the same thing happened with Roke. Because Roke at the end of Morning Sun, when they get onto the ship, the bridge opens up for Darrow and Victra and Sephi because a pink opened the door.
Yeah.
And Roke looks at her and says, even you? Because he was actually in love with her.
They're all in love with their pinks. Like, let's be
They're all
honest.
in love with their pinks, but the pinks are slaves. So it's this dynamic that always comes up when it comes to golds in the lower colors, outside of
Cassius
and
and Lyria. I was
Lyria.
gonna just quote that because like they see each other as equals.
Yeah.
Lyria said something to him specifically that said like there was something about like, and he almost cried, but she talked about his heart and the fact that he did good. You know, it was just as she was going down into the depths of Europa.
Yeah.
But there was something that was said, and I forget the quote, but it really touched him, right? But
He's a good man no matter what. But he's a good man in the eyes of...
I actually liked Fa's character so much more after that chapter. I'm like, what a bloke.
What a bloke. A bloke.
I'm not even British and I said that. Bloke, right? I don't know. It's just the best word that came up to it. But then we get to Europa, right? Where, you know, because they hailed the daughters of Ares on Sungrave.
Yeah.
And Darrow took, like they all went and they found this like the red from Jupiter, right? The mines of Jupiter, which are like they're stocky, they're big, they're scary.
Yeah. Two things before we move on to there is there's some foreshadowing that happens with the fight with the Obsidians on outside of Sungrave when they're trying to rescue the lower colors.
Okay.
Darrow is like excited and ecstatic when he's in the fighting because he's like, oh wow, I got into a flow state.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to more of these. Like I find that Darrow is starting to find his own again. Like
but he's just like, I haven't moved like that in ages. He's like an old man that's just like, guys, it's like, thank you, Cassius. But
I know.
But he gets into a flow state and he calls out Fa to the Obsidians and then is basically
Ashvar.
calls out Ashvar, but he's also playing up his demigod status amongst the Obsidians.
What do they call him again? Tiamorga. Tiamorga is back.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's like, Cassius, I'm a demigod to them.
Cassius, stand behind me. I got this.
And they didn't die.
But yeah, the reds, the stocky reds are really interesting. I find that the more he like explores some of that kind of stuff, the variations of like reds and different colors throughout the different worlds, really cool.
And they basically said, yeah, you're dead. You know, they put them to sleep in the submarine and they're like, well, you know, Sevro's ours. Lyria's too weak to do anything.
Yeah.
Aurae also kind of gave him up, to be honest. She didn't realize what was going to happen, but she also kind of did, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then they were put on trial.
Yeah.
And that was interesting.
Again, another part of the book where
Darrow
it's not action.
Monologue, and Diomedes is like, Darrow, you talk too long. You spoke for me.
Why did you speak for me?
You gave up my honor. I love Diomedes, man. But he's actually like one of my favorite characters now.
He came off very well, but Darrow's speech was fascinating because he does explain like, I did wrong by you. But
I did bad things so that you guys don't have to. Like he actually talked about that.
Yeah.
He's like, I was chosen to do the bad thing so that others didn't have to. It was quite interesting.
But it also comes up from Sevro because Sevro always says, I have to do the dirty work to keep you shiny and clean.
Yeah.
But Darrow has been the one built specifically to dirty his hands.
Yeah.
So that dynamic has always been interesting to me between them, but Cassius, Diomedes, and Darrow in the cell.
Yeah, that was interesting. Cassius like, I'm the baddest of the bad.
No. Sevro's... Oh, yeah, Cassius was there.
Yeah.
But they're logically working out the plot.
Yep.
Essentially.
Yep.
Between all of them. And Cassius is like, well, we're all going to die. There's a cheer. Oh, Darrow, that was for you. There's another cheer. That's for Diomedes. Louder cheer. Oh, that's for my death.
Yep. And he's like, Darrow, just give it to me. Give me the best. And they're like, Athena, we have something. And of course she's listening, right?
Yeah.
And what the cheers were was Sevro coming into his own, right?
Yep. Sevro accepting his identity and his inheritance,
Legacy.
essentially. His legacy.
Yeah.
The Twilight Helm, which was just a speech. That's all it really did. That was the special thing about the speech.
I know. But it was interesting because I liked the fact that Athena wasn't asking for Diomedes' service. She was asking for Diomedes to become the Virginia Augustus of the Rim.
Yeah.
So still have his own, still have his status, still have the power, but just work in conjunction with
Athena.
them, not for them, but with them. It was really cool. It was truly an ally, not a slave.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, he thought he was going to be enslaved, right? And she's like, no. I want you to be my Virginia Augustus, who I love and is my favorite character by far, okay?
Yeah. So now you have a male version of that
now
with
I
Diomedes.
do, which is why I love him even more, you know? And he seems like he'd be really good looking.
He probably, well, he's always described as, like, very broad. No, he's not. Yeah, long hair, broad.
Yep, very broad. And Darrow and Diomedes. Oh, that was really funny when they were all in the cell together. Cassius is like, 3 of the best razor masters of our generation, all dying on the same day. And he's like, oh, I forgot, you 2 haven't fought each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Diomedes and Darrow have to fight, but I don't think they're gonna get to that point. To be honest.
No, there's no animosity between them. I don't see anything coming up that's gonna cause them to fight.
I don't think Cassius fought Diomedes.
No, he never got a chance to.
No, because Diomedes refused to because he was fighting with honor.
Yeah.
So 3 of the best razor masters. That's how they're all alive still. They haven't fought each other yet.
Oh my god.
Except for the time Darrow cut off Cassius's hand.
Yeah, they did. They did have a duel. Mm-hmm. They had 2 duels.
Yeah.
One with Darrow getting a blade in his belly, and then one where Cassius lost his leg.
Yeah, but like Darrow was a baby, okay, and had no training. Cassius had a lot of
He was a little baby.
Cravat.
He was a little baby.
Yeah, but anyway, Diomedes, Darrow.
And then Lyria deciding she wants to help Volga. And Sevro.
Yeah. No, the thing. I remember they're like, Lyria, what did you see?
No. Yes.
Did you see the thing? And she's like, no, I saw nothing. She's like, okay, so you can go because you know nothing about the thing. They kept saying the thing. They referenced the thing a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
They're like, you don't know the
thing.
Do you not know OBSEC? Do you not know OBSEC?
What? She's like, I saw nothing. And he's like, okay, you can go because if they torture you.
She's being a sneaky little bitch.
I know, but it's
making her way into like places she shouldn't be.
Well, Darrow's finally like, you can go because if they catch you and they torture you, you know nothing.
Yeah.
And they really needed her to kind of turn Volga.
Yeah.
And as they started bringing Lyria back, I mean, that's where Cassius, like, I could see her being really protective, right? When he dropped her off at the ship and everything like that. And then there was this like giant like attack of everything. But during the attack, didn't you see that the Obsidians were banded in different tribes? Like 1 from Fa, 2nd best from Fa, 3rd best from Fa. And they were creating the hierarchy of the golds, but within the Obsidian world.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they learned nothing. They became what they were trying to break.
Well, it's a very common thing where victims of abuse become the abusers. And it's also often, you'll see it with revolutions when you have revolutionaries that take over a country. They're often worse or just the same as the system that they threw the yoke off of.
Yeah.
So it takes quite a bit of a like forethought and specific thinking in order to make sure that whatever you tear down, you build it correctly. Because that was what Virginia never wanted from Darrow.
Yeah.
And why she kept hiding from him at times in the first trilogy was, I don't know if you are just a breaker. Are you just another tyrant in waiting? Or are you going to build something better?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. But I found so Volga and Lyria. Volga was a dick.
Volga was a dick.
My God. She's like,
She's got
Ephraim, like, nah, 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 and like, Lyria, me. I'm sorry, I'm not even using words right now. I'm so pissed off about that scene. But Lyria's like, I came for you. I didn't come for Darrow. Like, I literally risked my life for you.
Yeah.
She's like, you gave up your power. You gave up your parasite. I was really pissed off with her, okay? I just read it this morning. This
Yeah.
part.
No, Volga's an
She
interesting
redeemed herself by the end. We'll talk
Yeah.
about that too. But
Yeah.
she was a dick.
She was an actually just a real
She
dick.
gave Lyria up to Fa and then begged Fa not to kill her. And come on, man. Fa's going to make her kill her. Like, it's his MO.
Yeah,
Power.
it is power.
You know, Lyria's just like, she was shitting bricks, but she's like, you know what? And then she was with that Obsidian that brought her in.
Yeah.
Siegfried or Sigmund?
Siegfried, and then
Sigmund was his dad.
I can't
There was
remember
one
his
of
name.
them, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he plays a point too, right? But Fa then says, okay, fine. If this is your friend, here is the gauntlet. Rip out her heart.
Yeah, because he was trying to get her to kill one of each of the colors, essentially. And she killed every single one, including the Obsidian, the son of a Jarl. Couldn't kill Lyria, but before she could even attempt...
Trojan horse.
What
Go
is-
back to book one.
They always love putting themselves in dead things.
That was really good, though, because even Sevro talked about it being their prized creature, right? And of course, they're going to hunt the prized creature of Europa.
Sense, yeah.
It was quite cool. I didn't even get the foreshadowing, to be honest, but it was just one of those things that, like,
I didn't either.
no, it was just came, and then, but like I picked up on it as soon as Lyria was shooting bricks. I'm like, they're coming out of that thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm like,
No,
everyone's
no.
like screaming and running away from it. I'm
No.
like, they are coming out of this thing.
No, as soon as it came out, and I was like thinking, I'm like, wait, what would be the plan B? And I'm like, no, there's
thing.
there's a corpse. There's a corpse. It's Darrow and Sevro, or at least Sevro's inside of that, because that's just a Sevro thing to do.
And they did really come back for Lyria. Like they actually care about her.
They
were
do.
worried that like she, Cassius went and grabbed her.
I
and
did
everything
see
like
one meme where it was like Sevro talking about Lyria. It's like, you may die in this.
You're a secondary objective or something.
Yeah, no, it was like, you may die on this mission, but it is a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Oh, I remember that. I actually deadly remember that.
Sevro's just
was
like,
funny.
I don't care if you die. It's fine.
I know. But the next scene, holy shit, that was awesome.
Coming out of the...
The Ashvar.
Yes.
The Ashvar, right? Between... You have something to say about coming up, but I want to talk about the Ashvar.
Go Ashvar.
Okay, so it's a duel to the death.
Yep.
And I found immediately that Fa was being... like, Darrow was literally calling Fa's bluffs. Like, he didn't want to fight Darrow. He tried to say he wasn't the guy whose son died finally said, I have nothing to lose. I am going to back this man.
Because I will
for
back
honor.
the laws of my people.
Yeah, I lost my son for the laws of my people, right?
I let you kill my son.
Yeah.
Because it was by law.
And he's like, now you can't even stand by your own laws.
Yeah.
So then Fa was put into a corner, right?
Yep.
And then he picked a dome. He picked metal armor. I don't know how he's allowed to have poison spike in the armor. Like, fuck him. But like, he picked metal armor. They picked a dome. They picked like, metal weapons.
Yep.
And like the description of Fa's armor is scary. But I really enjoyed Darrow creating his own fighting style.
Yeah.
And going into a flow. He's like, before he used to use the will away, before he used to do this. He's like, I'm moving with the breath of the planet. And he's like, it just feels like air.
The deep winds of the mind.
It was really cool. He's like, this is my legacy. This is what I do. And he was just like playing with his food. He's like sitting there like chopping little bits off and then taking a break and then chopping some more off and then taking it.
And then like someone else shows up and like Cassius
like, I'll just kill you.
Cassius, or like Cassius like, Darrow, kill him. Stop it. It's like, but I got a flow state going.
I know. And then Fa was like cheating at every point possible.
Of course.
Weapon or poison on the thing. Fa was just a giant child who couldn't stand losing. That's what I found from that, and I was really disgusted with him.
Yeah.
But he got like his Gorgons, which I don't know what Gorgons are still.
Gorgons are just people associated with Host Grimace and with Atlas, essentially.
Okay. So he had the Gorgons come in and try to kill him, and then Darrow's like, nah, and then the dome breaks, and then they're up in the air, and then like they're island hopping with different obsidian feasts. I didn't understand the concept of that because I thought they were all together for their feasting.
Yeah.
But
So, couple things is one, he's not just fighting him. Every time he has a break, he has
Clang.
he has
clang.
a javelin spear and then his usual sling blade. He goes clang, 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 confess.
Clang, clang.
He doesn't want Fa dead because Fa being dead proves nothing. If he can get Fa to confess that he is Atlas's puppet, that what he is doing is at Atlas's demands, he can turn the Volk back on his side.
Well, it was quite interesting because as they were fighting and as he kept demanding the confession, they started believing him. Everyone else started demanding the confession.
Yes, because they saw the dishonor that it was. So the island hopping, though, was to go to, they were going from the different bands. Remember how you said the fifth band from Fa? You're the furthest away from him?
Yeah.
So that's what they were doing from each island is basically was how far away. Because the islands are small on Europa.
Yeah, and like the one that stood out to me though was the guy that was like in armor, the spear, the shield. And he's like, Ashvar. He's like, yes. He's like, okay. And he sits back down.
He's like about to fuck shit up and he's like,
and I was like,
Ashvar.
nah.
No.
Because they were painted in blue, right?
Yeah, they know it's Ashfire and they're like, okay, we can't disrupt this.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were trying to. Like, Fa was trying to cheat out of it, but he knew he was going to die. But it was really interesting to watch, like, and then...
But they're all chasing them throughout. And what's better is, like, you have, like...
You just got this, like...
War bands. Like, gunships flying along with them. We're going clang, clang, clang.
It was actually really fun. And I felt... You're right, though. We couldn't kill him because we had, like, at the end of that chapter, too... He talks about if I kill him, I become their war god, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
And if someone else kills him, then they become the war god, and it's hell all over again. And they had to come to democracy.
Yes.
So he said by telling everybody he was a fraud, he doesn't get the honor of killing him, doesn't bestow the honor of the new leader because he was never a leader to begin with. So it's quite cool.
They'll still have that honor because he gave that honor to Volga.
Yeah.
But...
And she redeemed herself at that moment.
And she redeemed herself. Yeah. But it still allowed them to have democracy and to see that they can choose. It is not whoever is the strongest. It is the group choosing.
Yeah. And I think that's where we left off.
I think that is where we left off.
Diomedes
I'm going to check 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah, Diomedes has now become basically...
He was pissed off first. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, and Darrow's like, dude, if we don't do this, they're going to burn the planet down as they leave.
Yeah.
I think that was it. Yeah. The laws of the ice. Yeah. That was the end. And then part 4 is, a lot less. Like, we haven't read it, neither Nick and I. So don't spoil it yet for us. We're going to get to it probably tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, we're releasing this on Monday, and this is Tuesday.
Yeah, Nick is making me wait to release these episodes 1 week each. I'm sorry, guys.
I think that's the appropriate way to do it. But
okay, so Mr. Linguistics, what are your themes?
So there's a couple things that I think were actually more fleshed out in here. Is one, the one that I was talking about in the last couple of parts was the man lost, finding his way home. And what I realized is that theme is not about Darrow getting to Mars.
Is it about finding himself?
It's about finding himself. And it's through all the different characters.
Yeah.
Because Sevro lost who he was. He's losing himself in the goblin persona and not being Sevro the father. He's not being Sevro the friend or Ares, the one that needs to lead. He lost the person he was in Morning Star when he hung himself for Cassius. Yeah. Which is still my favorite scene in the entire book.
It was a really well-written scene.
It was incredible.
It was.
But Darrow with the same thing. It's what identity is Darrow. He knows that he is the Reaper or Tia Morga. He is these war gods, but he wants to be more than just simply that, which is where he amalgamates all of it into one thing, which is the Breath of Stone, which is the fighting style that he came to, the flow state. So it's a merger of identities and not just being simply the Reaper, simply Darrow.
Do you think that that's happening with a lot of characters then? Because Cassius is coming to his own, Lyria is finding herself, Darrow is... I feel like all of them are. You know what I mean?
It definitely is.
The big characters at least.
Yeah. Cassius though...
Even Mustang, because as she was fighting in part 2, she was also accepting other parts of herself.
Yeah.
Of this is what it means to be sovereign. right? It's not just like, I'm not just the politician. I'm not just the disruptor. I'm also a warrior.
Yeah.
And I have to, like, it was cool. I think there's a lot of character development in this book. And I don't think we saw as much in book 4 or 5. We saw a lot of war and a lot of, like, action, but we're seeing a lot more character development. It's kind of cool.
Dark Age was so much more of a downfall.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have the characters and they needed to, like, fall for this book for them to be a full rising back to, like, a more cohesive person.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really liking this book right now.
Also, I still feel like there is a lot of, like, death flags being flown for Cassius.
Okay. I mean, yeah. But
like, everything with Lyria, where...
He's going to die saving Lyria.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think it is, because it is also, like, he got forgiveness from low colors. Not just Darrow, not from anyone else. He is getting forgiveness from Lyria for what he was and what he had done.
Yeah. No, I think Cassius will die.
Yeah.
It may be a next book. It may not be this book. Like, I think he will die before the series is done.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to live. There's just too many death flags for him right now. And, like, it's his character development is pretty much complete. There's not much else for him to go.
Give him a happy ending. Give him a happy ending. I want him to marry Lyria.
You want him to marry Lyria?
I think they make such cute babies.
They probably would.
Yeah.
They'd be like prettier versions of Sevro.
Yeah. Which is hard to imagine.
He's a little bit terrifying, but yeah.
So lots of the Odyssey in this, eh?
Well, yeah, because like the island hopping, the Gorgons, the like Medusa, monsters, all of these things. But he
literally wrote the Odyssey in Red Rising style.
He did. But there's a few pieces that didn't come up necessarily, of course, because he made it his own. But no matter what, yeah, he pulled from the Odyssey quite a bit for this.
Yeah.
The other theme that I've really noticed was forgiveness.
Yeah, that's coming up a lot.
Not only, generally. So forgiveness to Diomedes for being born what he is. It wasn't his fault for being born as a gold and being an oppressor, but he does his Athena.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right? The daughters of Athena generally kind of forgave him for that because he was willing to be honorable and be the Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And Darrow having forgiveness for everything that he did to the Rim Sons of Ares.
Yeah, that was a big one, right?
Yeah.
They said you're going to help us and then you're going to come back and face your sentence. Yeah.
But it's also the fact that, like, you can't run away from your actions, but you can't also just say, like, Darrow's not saying, like, I don't deserve this punishment. He's like, no, I deserve punishment. What I did was wrong, but I did it for the right reasons. It's very...
He even forgave Quicksilver for leaving. He understood it.
Yeah. And then it's also, like, Sevro, because, like, when that scene where, like, Sevro's saying he killed my father, and Darrow's like, yeah, and I beat his brother to death. I killed half his family, and the other half were killed by my actions. And he is here.
Yeah.
And he is here helping me.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. The three of them have been through a lot.
They have been through a lot, but it's still, Cassius has that brotherly love for him despite it, because...
No, remember the part in the book where he's like, you would die for me? He's like, I thought that was just a you and Sevro thing. He's like, I'm touched. He's like, you would
Cassius.
Stay and die for me? He's so sensitive.
Cassius?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like super sensitive.
Oh,
he actually did say that. And I'm pretty sure Tim Gerald was like, oh.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's another thing that I noticed with Quicksilver, which is something you'll see a lot right now politically, is the idea of people that are so disillusioned with a system, they're doomer, like it's the doomerist perspective.
Yeah.
The fuck this shit, I'm out. Because I noticed this. There's a YouTube channel called Just for Bikes where he talked about how he's Canadian.
Yep.
He gave up on North America.
Uh-huh.
He said, there is no fixing the American car dependency or like what's happening in Canada.
But you can't fix the world, period.
But he's just like, so I escaped and I went to the Netherlands to be a place with my family where I knew things were right.
Yeah,
but that's
nothing is perfect, right?
Nothing is perfect, but it's that escapist ideal where you feel like you can escape it.
Mm-hmm.
Quicksilver is the embodiment of that. Where Darrow is
running away.
Yeah, Darrow is taking the system that you have and finding a way to pull it in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing I find Pierce, I think, is pushing as a overarching theme in general.
I don't respect I mean, you can understand Quicksilver's decision, but I do not respect it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do not respect it because he had more power than anyone else to change the system.
Yeah. And he's like, I am done.
I am done. The system is so broken. I refuse to try and help.
Do you think he's going to come back? Or do you think that's his arc?
I think that's his arc. I think that's the point of him, is that he is that doomerist perspective, that counter argument to what I think Pierce Brown is talking about in general, because Pierce Brown worked in politics for a long time in the States.
Oh yeah, this was a second, this was a side thing, right?
This was a side thing.
And he becomes just a casual New York Times bestselling author.
Yeah, but he worked in politics, so he understands the idea of that, you have to work in the system to fix the system, but it takes work, and it takes effort to defend the ideas of enlightenment or in the ideas of liberty.
Yeah.
That were a part of the system that it should be.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that really came out of left field for me.
It did, but I think it's the thesis that Pierce Brown is putting through the series that I hope some people start to recognize.
See, I don't think we're getting back to Mars in this book. So any other themes that you came up with in this?
I'm trying to think through.
I really want Cassius and Lyria to get married, have babies.
So many things happened in this.
It was a lot.
It was a long, long thing.
Your job was to write down the themes. Any other themes?
I don't think I have any others.
If we're missing any, let us know down below. We will have a discussion with you.
No, 100%, because...
Please comment. We love talking to you guys.
I think those three are my main...
Yeah.
My main things that I think are what are driving the narrative overall. So, what do you think is coming up next?
I don't know. Every time I think it's wrong. I don't know. I am probably gonna start listening to part 4 after we're done. Recording, and we'll probably be filming the part 4 episode in a few days because I think we're gonna inhale it.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be filmed before the weekend, before this episode comes out, and then bam! I don't know. What do you think is gonna happen?
Well, we need to know the fallout of Fall dying to the plans of Atlas and Lysander.
Yeah, that's totally dead. And the fact that I think Diomedes is going to, I think the Rim and Darrow will come together once again. And I think it's going to be for redemption this time.
Yeah.
Because Darrow's going to do it to save the Rim.
Yeah.
And it's going to redeem him. Yes. That was the other theme, I think, that this book is showing, redemption.
Redemption and forgiveness kind of go hand in hand, typically.
And I think that Volga will become the new... Well, I don't know if she'll become the... Because they all have votes, right? And they don't actually like her. But I think they're going to have to save the Rim.
Yeah.
And then only after the Rim is saved, they will come together and fight for the core.
Yeah. I still think Cassius is not making it out of this book, which depresses me.
Stop it. I'm enjoying the love triangle.
I know, so am I. And that's why I'm so...
Don't talk about it. We don't talk about things that make me upset.
Okay.
I tell you, if Virginia dies, I'm not reading the rest of the book. So.
I don't know what...
She may not die this book, but if she dies next book, you are not going to finish the podcast because I'm not going to be a part of it.
I don't think Virginia is ever going to go.
I love her so much. She's my little book crush. It is what it is.
I don't... Yeah, I think you're right. I think this will end... There will be a bittersweet moment, I think, is how it will end, but it will end with them heading towards Mars with the Rim.
Yeah, I think it's going to come together. I don't know if the virus will be used this book, though.
I don't think it will be. I think it's... The other thing is that Pierce Brown really, kind of picks things up and leaves them.
Red herrings in.
He puts red herrings in.
A lot.
It could be a Chekhov's gun where, congratulations, there is a gun on that nightstand. It's going to be going off in the next book.
Yeah.
But it could also be just that it is a MacGuffin that they're going to fight over. And like maybe Darrow is going to learn about it in part 4. And that's what actually is going to drive the final conflict for this book.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they will come together and there will be a march towards Mars.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty excited for it. It's super different than book 5. Like really different.
Yeah.
And I want to know when book 7 will be released because I think he wrote them pretty much back to back.
1 to 2 years.
Well, that sucks.
No, that's not too bad because he does have to conclude it, but he did a very...
I really wish I picked up the series after it was done. I do not like waiting for books. I did that with Harry Potter, by the way, guys.
You didn't read it until it was over?
Actually, I started reading it right as The Deathly Hallows was being written. So, like, I was finishing it just as the book 7 got released.
Okay.
Went to Costco, picked it up, read it all in one day in my room.
Yeah. The other thing is that it may come out in a year. I can see that because he did rewrite everything. But that also comes, I mean, he had to rewrite it because he kind of subscribes to a Gardner style of writing. He doesn't have outlines. So that's why he had to rewrite it because he's like, nope, I got to prune all of this shit. So 1 year.
Okay. Anything else you got to say?
No, I'm actually pretty happy with how this part was. It is, it's such good prose and such good dialogue.
I don't know.
So
I liked
excited.
it too. Is this your favorite part so far?
Of course. There's so much good stuff that happened in this.
There's a lot. But let us know if you guys have any suggestions, comments, want to chat with us down below. If you like this, please let us know and like and subscribe.
Also, if anyone has a suggestion on a book that we can do for another book club at some point, potentially.
I am not doing the 3-body problem.
You're not going to do the 3-body problem.
I don't love you enough.
I am not going to make you do the 3-body problem.
I don't love you enough. I will not do it.
I know you won't.
I will only read things that are interesting.
3-body problem is very interesting.
All right.
All right.
I think we're done for today.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. And watch out for part 4 of The Lightbringer.
Peace.
Bye.